How are we going, folks? Welcome back to the Nightmare Cabin, and I am joined again by Daniel Terry from DFT's Dungeon. How's it going, man?
It's going good, man. Good to be here. I'm excited about the topic.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing a retrospective tonight, and we are going to be talking about Tourniquet. And
All right.
yeah, the it's this is an eclectic catalog, and I wanted to do a retrospective on this band for a while, but I just didn't. I just felt doing it on my own was a little bit too much of an endeavor, especially since I've only really come into the band in the last couple of years. So I really am starting from the end. So yeah, I mean, when did you first get into the band? And let's get into a little bit of what they mean to you and
Sure.
start
I
off
got
with
into
like a
tourniquet. I got into tourniquet when I was in high school. Believe it or not, that was whenever honestly, it was whenever I had like unsupervised internet access, right?
hmm,
And while most people look at porn when they're kids, or young teenage boys on the internet, I instead looked for obscure Christian metal on the internet. And I used to go to this website called godcore.com, and they had like every single Christian metal band that you could think of on that website. Now it was dial-up days. I mean, this had to have been like 2001, maybe
yeah,
2002, sometime like then. And so we were talking AOL dial-up internet, and I got into I was really into Metallica and Megadeth at the time, and I went for like the thrash metal section, and the number one recommended band in there was Tourniquet. And I remember I downloaded 30 seconds of a song that was from the Microscopic View of a Telescopic Realm album, and the song was called Drinking from the Poisoned Well. And I listened to 30 seconds of it, and it was super weird, and I had no idea what was going on. And that was my first impression of Tourniquet, and I was like, this is weird. I'm not sure if this is a band that I'm really into, right? And then I think a couple years went by, and somehow I ended up hearing the song Psychosurgery,
yeah,
and then I was on board. I was like, okay. I was like, this is really cool. I'm not sure what that sound clip was that I heard, all those years ago, but this sounds really cool and really neat. And I became a pretty big fan of the band then. And at the time, I was still a teenager, so it was hard to get their albums. So the first album that I ended up actually getting, I found at a Slackers CDs and Games here in St. Louis, and it was like $3.99 or something. And so I bought it and listened to the whole thing, loved it. It was a weird album, and I finally got to hear the context of that clip of drinking from the poisoned well, and I was like,
yeah,
oh, okay, now it makes sense. And my first impressions of Tourniquet, I was definitely like still a little bit weirded out. Like I loved the album, but like I hadn't heard enough metal yet, I think, to really have any type of concrete expectation for what I was going to hear, right? And so yeah, I listened to that album, to death, and it's got like long, like 10-minute, which we'll get into it, as
yeah,
we go through, but it's got like long 10-minute songs. And I started realizing, okay, this is a band that is going to throw as much stuff into each song as they possibly can. But then, it also has kind of this like sort of deeper lyrical theme, and you start realizing that if you choose to engage with Tourniquet intellectually, there's a lot of depth to what they talk about. They're not just being weird. There's usually a reason behind it.
yeah, yeah. And when I first heard of them as well, it was it was hard to find a way in, and I
Yeah,
felt and every song was just like a barrage of all different things. It was just like I couldn't. There was a bit where you just wanted to grab, and then right now you're hooked, and then you can sort of go in for that way. But generally speaking, though, I was like, right, so Tourniquet, where's the? And they generally speaking, they just went, yeah, the first three albums, start there, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
work your way in. And funny enough, it was actually Flood that when I got into these two albums, because these are quite recent. What was it? 2024 was the second
yeah,
album. And
yeah,
these I really got into. And then they went, yeah, it was ex Tourniquet numbers members. And I was like, right, so that's my way in. And then I just
yeah.
kind of went from there really. And some of their albums, pretty much everything. My format on this channel is I review what I buy, and some of these albums are just impossible to get hold of, and some of them are
Yeah.
really expensive. So the ones I haven't got here, I do have on Bandcamp, and I should probably do a link at some point to my Bandcamp profile and the stuff I buy. Why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, but I've what I haven't got, I've bought on Bandcamp basically. So I've been listening, and yeah, so. They're for the uninitiated. I mean, I think the best way to describe them at front at the beginning, the first three albums, technical death metal, not death metal, technical thrash metal. Sorry, in the sort of kind of quirky, technicals, kind of progressive, is sort of technical as Megadeth, but they can go really deep and do like a 10-minute epic when they want to. But then kind of
Yeah.
quirky and kind of tongue in cheek in an Annihilator kind of way as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of different voices and different vocal styles. I think that can be a bit jarring at times as well. But you get that with Annihilator as well. There's a lot of when you're ranting down a down da 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 da, it's like, and then it will go into a sung chorus and that. But
A
yeah,
lot
so
coming at you at once. Yeah.
what I thought was quite funny as well. I've got this DVD here, and I'm pretty sure this is the one. There's a show from 1991. It was actually their first show,
Yeah.
but it's like they didn't actually start playing live until they had a couple of albums under their belt. It wasn't like they traditionally a band forms, start jamming, start gigging, do a demo, and they get like uh, a live reputation before getting a record deal. No, it seems like Tourniquet started out more as a project and then went live
Yeah.
later. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know too much about the original origins, but it makes sense in this. It makes sense in that, why have a first show and nobody's going to show up for it, right?
Yeah.
I think that so it kind of makes sense there, because yeah, I think this first album, Stop the Bleeding, was 1990,
Hmm.
and what you have on Stop the Bleeding, the one that I have is a
Yeah.
reissue. Yeah, we have the same one. Okay, cool.
That's the
Metal
thing with
Icon.
these bands as well. There's so many different editions, and yeah,
Yep. So with this album, what you have is you have basically, like you said, technical thrash metal, right? Uh, and you have the guitarist Gary is also providing the thrash vocals, right? So like
yeah,
if you listen to a song like Arc of Suffering, um, yeah, you've got those like more thrash, almost like Slayer sounding, Slayer almost Believer sounding vocals. And then but the majority of the vocals on this album are sung by Guy Ritter, which
yeah,
he has almost more of like a pop singing type of, obviously the thing everybody remembers the most about this album is his like very high pitched like falsetto
oh, he goes
vocals.
full King Diamond on here. Yeah,
Oh yeah, and it's funny. My buddy Brian from the Casual Metal podcast calls them Grover vocals, because they're strange. Hearing them for the first time, if you hadn't been listening to that style of metal before, which I hadn't, whenever I first heard this, my expectation for metal was more of like a Dave Mustaine,
mm,
or a James Hetfield. So to hear this and hear like that sort of that more 80s metal influence, the almost pop metal, glam metal influence there on the vocals, it was a little jarring at first. I've gotten used to it now. I've gotten to a point where I can kind of enjoy it. And songs like Ready or Not are great just to throw on, especially if there's other people in the car and they can't get away. You turn that song up and
real high vocals on that one as
yeah,
well.
start high, headbanging to it. But yeah, so like you have a band that almost seems like it's at war with itself by intention. You've got these like sort of poppier kind of choruses and hooks, but then you have this like really complex like tech thrash thing going on, and it all comes together in a way that is actually very pleasing even though you don't necessarily think that when you first pop it on. Like the
Yeah,
Test for Leprosy is such a weird song to start
yeah,
off with.
yeah. I mean, Arc of Suffering is seems to be a regular in their live set going forward as well. It was like the set opener. But Test for Leprosy, yeah, it's it's an album. It definitely it rewards repeated listens, and it does make sense. It kind of excuse me, the first time you listen to it, it's kind of like you're zooming in. You just get so much, and then with every listen, it's like you zoom out, and then the picture becomes a bit more clearer. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's complex, but it's a very the songs are very clever, very intricate, and they're very good. You know,
yeah,
but it does take a listen a good couple of listens to really wrap. It's like you listen to it going, you know, trying to figure out what to make of it, but then next thing you know, you'll have a chorus stuck in your head, and you're going, "Where did I get that from?" And then you realize, "Oh yeah, it's from that." And
yeah. My favorite track on this album is the fourth song, Tears of Korra.
yeah,
Just because it's got that intro, that sort of like melodic intro that's like it goes a million miles an hour, then it like slows down, and it's just got this like really creepy, like almost doom metal, atmospheric vibe to it. And then it picks up and goes more into that sort of thrash sound that they did on the other songs. But that song's always like really stood out to me on this record. That one, and then I'm probably gonna pronounce this wrong, but Somnambulism is another one that is a favorite of mine. Just because like there's this part where he's like sort of Guy Ritter slows down and he's doing everything in this deep voice. He's like, "You've fallen down the stairs," and they throw a clip of a guy going ah, like, and I love that kind of stuff. I'm a big fan of like sound clips and sound memes and stuff. So it was really cool hearing that on this album, and this one is still kind of it's amazing to me that this was the baseline that they
mm.
started with, that their debut album was this high quality just right out of the gate. And it could be maybe that it was because it was like more of a project, so they had a little bit more time, because Tourniquet was definitely not a band that I feel like, formed in the garage, right? And worked their way up through a
That's is
scene or
it.
anything like
Yeah,
that. Yeah, like you don't get that impression at all.
yeah. I mean, this album is a three piece actually. You got Ted Kirkpatrick, who is the main guy throughout the band. He is the Steve Harris, so to speak, and he's the
Right.
one that's the steady member all the way through the catalog. It basically becomes his project, or even if it was his project to begin with, it
Yeah.
certainly becomes his project as the story goes on. But yeah, this first album is Ted Kirkpatrick on drums, Gary Lanier, I think it is, on
Mhm.
guitar and thrash vocals, as you say. Now, Ted and Gary do the bass between them on this album, and then you got Guy Ritter on vocals, and then you got apparently additional guitars and bass by Mark Lewis and Eric James, but they're never mentioned again.
Yeah, we never see
So,
them again. Yeah.
and then so then the band follow up in 1991 with Psychosurgery,
Oh yeah.
and
I think we both have the same
yeah.
one on that too. Mellow Icon series. Yeah.
And on this one, they extend to a five piece, and it looks like going forward, this is like the full band. So again, you've got
Yes.
Guy Ritter, Gary Lanier, Ted on drums, and then we've got Eric Mendez on guitar and Victor Macias, I think so,
Sure. Yeah.
on bass. But and the both the first album and second album are produced by Bill Matoya, who's
Yes. He produces most of the Tourniquet stuff throughout their career, and
he's got quite a bit of a CV to him. Anyway, that guy, he's when you look him up, he's
he's
got
got
quite
it.
a
Yeah,
few.
he's got quite the catalog
Yeah,
of stuff that he's worked on. Psychosurgery is what I'm talking about when it comes to Tourniquet. It is one of my favorite
yeah. This is pretty much
thrash albums, yeah, like of all time. Uh I mean, just the 1-2 punch of Psychosurgery starting it off, which is fast, has a great chorus. Great trade off between Guy and Gary on that song. And then you go into A Dog's Breakfast right after, and it just does not let up. Guy Ritter actually does a little bit more of the thrash vocals on A Dog's Breakfast, and it sounds cool, and it sounds distinctly different. Um, it sounds distinctly different from everything else they did on the previous record. I think it sounds super cool. And then they followed up with Devastating Wind, which is an instrumental, which like normally I would not care for an instrumental song this early in a record. And yet somehow they pull it off. They make it interesting enough,
Yeah.
for you not to care, to be like, yeah, let's do it. Again, a lot of cool sound samples on that song, which I'm a huge fan of. This record absolutely blew my mind whenever I got to listen to it cover to cover. And that's even with the rap song that was thrown in there. Which like,
Ahead of their time. Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's hard, right? Because it's easy for me to sit here in 2025 and say, "Oh yeah, that didn't age very well, blah 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 blah." But I don't know. Like it's still fun. It's
Yeah.
still
And
fun and cool. Maybe
yeah, I
not
mean,
cool,
as
but it's
far
fun.
as if you look, anytime you listen to any sort of form of rap metal or rapping with it, it's definitely it's not one of the worst examples of it of when it does work, because
Yeah.
when it does work, when you do mix those two styles together, it it either works really well or nothing quite succeeds like it, but nothing fails like it either. It's and
Yeah.
yeah, this isn't like a cringe in any way. It's just very, if anything, yeah, I think if anything, they were ahead of their time doing it. But Dog's Breakfast, which you mentioned as well, that song is just it's so chaotic, but then just always just kind of falls into place for the chorus,
Yeah.
and then just goes crazy again, and then just yeah. But it's got like a real tied together chorus that just where it just comes together. It's really clever the way it's um and broken, what's it called? Broken
Broken chromosomes. Yeah.
chromosomes. I really like the vocal effect on that with that. the
Yeah. So the first thing you notice on this record too is there you don't get those falsettos much anymore. I think
yeah
that's the only song where you hear that sort of vocal, him do the higher register vocals. But that song, Broken Chromosomes, is like lyrically and musically one of the best Tourniquet songs, just because of the subject matter, dealing with people that have mental disability and like how they're mistreated and stuff like that. That is Tourniquet. I should have talked about this in Stop the Bleeding as well, but like Tourniquet has this thing where they talk about stuff that you really don't hear other Christian bands talk about in their music.
yeah
Like
yeah
they talk about animal rights a lot.
they don't
And
shy away from trickier subjects,
yeah,
you know. And yeah, I mean, we could go into the lyrics, and I guess we'll be here all night if we.
yeah,
But yeah, Ted Kirkpatrick, obviously a very big animals' rights advocate. That again,
yes,
we'll get into as the catalog goes on, because it really becomes a prominent theme on some later albums.
oh
But yeah,
yeah,
I mean, but then this is what metal's all about. Metal, whichever way you approach it, faces head on what the rest of society would rather ignore.
sure,
And
yeah,
yeah, and a Christian metal band should be no different, you know. And no, kudos to them for that. I think generally speaking, I think this is when Tourniquet really become Tourniquet. I mean, Stop the
yeah,
Bleeding is a solid album. It's a very good album, but you can listen to it, you go, oh, this is a bit of Merciful Fate, or this is a bit of Megadeth, this is a bit of
yeah,
Psycho Surgery. Tourniquet sound like no one else at this point. They
yeah.
sound
They
like
really
Tourniquet.
they found their signature
Yeah.
sound here. Yeah,
And generally speaking, if you went on anywhere and went, what's the favourite Tourniquet album? Yeah, it's generally going to be this one. I would have thought this would be the most mentions, and also generally speaking, it's going to be the first three. And I think I think that's the sort of golden age, and then there's people that are in for the long haul. I think people enjoy the later stuff, but
Sure.
they'll all say, sorry, something outside. But yeah, it'd be like they'll all basically say start with a three and then carry on from there, and there's good stuff to come. So yeah, Psychosurgery is pretty much the masterpiece. And then
Yep.
a year later, they follow it up pretty much with another one in Pathogenic Ocular Dissonance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, an hour long slab of metal. And have you got the metal icon one as well? Yeah.
No, this
Oh,
one
your
this so
one.
this one's actually the original. This is the Intense Records version. I used to work for I didn't work for, but I used to run a radio show uh that did a Christian metal show, and the guy that ran the station ended up giving me that. He gave me that and a couple of Mortification albums that were the original Intense ones. So that it's definitely a cool disc to have in the collection.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Pathogenic. I mean, same lineup as before as well. I think this is pretty much. I think there is another occurrence actually, but I think this is the only time where the band actually recorded with the same lineup twice. I
Yes.
think we
Yep.
get some members stick around for a little while. I don't know. It's the first time they do it at this point, anyway, and it's a while till they do it again. But yeah, this pretty much what they start on Psychosurgery kind of comes to fruition on this album. It kind of just everything that they're doing, they just push it that bit further, and it kind of
Yeah.
comes to its what's the word? Comes to its peak on this, and then the next album they kind of clear the desk and start again, so to speak. But
Yeah.
before we get there, what do you think of Pathogenic Ocular Dissonance?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I think I honestly this record is I think it's a better record than Psycho. Even though Psychosurgery obviously is incredible,
Would you
that
say this
just
is the
goes to
better
show.
album, but Psychosurgery is the better one to start with,
Yeah, I mean,
and
for
then
a
get
new listener,
into
I think,
yeah,
yeah, I think in order to better understand a record like Pathogenic, you have to listen to something like Psycho.
yeah,
But as somebody that listened to Psychosurgery to death, this record is it's a little bit proggier.
mm.
It's even a little bit more technical, which is crazy to consider how intricate their work has been up to this point. But there's a lot more like variation in tempos. The songs are you start hearing a lot more like almost blues type of influence, especially on songs like Phantom Limb.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I'll get you. Yeah,
and there's just a lot of weird like vocal patterns on this record. You'll notice there's a lot more vocals from Gary on this one. Guy doesn't play as prominent of a role in this recording, and I think he was this was pretty much right before he left the band. Was he recorded the vocals for this, and then I think he was pretty much gone after that.
yeah. That's what I was going to ask you about. Actually, I didn't. I heard something that he quit halfway through the recording of the album. It's like, yeah, but what his parts are obviously done. The rest of the recording is must be what they mean because
Yeah, well, I don't know if he quit in the middle of it or not. I can't remember. I read a fairly lengthy interview with Guy Ritter from HM Magazine a long time ago, and so it's such great citing of sources I'm doing right now. I don't know. It was an interview a long time ago, whatever, right? But I remember him saying that he stuck it out through the end of the recording. Because he'd made a comment where he was like, "If I'd quit in the middle of the recording, I would have never even been on the record. Probably they
yeah,
probably would have
true.
just
So he must have finished. Yeah,
yeah."
it's
So I
his
think
bit's done, and then he kind of that. Well, I'm done, and
well,
then
and his whole thing was that he, was more of a fan of pop music. He wasn't necessarily into like the super thrash, sort of heavy sound. And my understanding at the time was that, whenever he was talking about musical direction with the band members, they were like, "No, we're going to go heavier. We're just going to go heavier." And like you can definitely hear that on Pathogenic, just like the chorus of the song Pathogenic is like, blast beaty, very heavy, like almost it's extremely heavy for Tourniquet, much heavier than anything that they had done before. It doesn't bleed into death metal, but it's as heavy as pretty much you're gonna get out of Tourniquet.
Yeah.
Um, and so I can kind of see where he's coming from there. Um, although it's ironic considering what the next record ended up sounding like.
Yeah. Um,
But
I'm trying to think of another. Holy Terror. Apparently, Keith. I forget the guy's name now. Keith, I think it was Keith. The singer of Holy Terror was apparently never into metal.
yeah,
Um,
I believe it.
but it's funny because he was a really unique vocalist as well. Like Holy Terror, quite they're two phenomenal albums. But yeah, it's funny how you get that where you get a singer that's not really kind of just lands in a metal band.
Yeah,
What a problem to have, huh?
sure.
But,
And I think he loved it. I mean, it sounds like he really enjoyed his time in the band. It sounds like they had a lot of fun. But yeah, yeah. So Guy was out, and honestly, like part of the reason why I like this record is I'm a little bit more of a meathead, right? So like, I could take or leave melodic moments. I could take or leave catchiness. Sometimes I'm okay with a brutal onslaught. But I feel like Pathogenic was a little bit close, more akin to my tastes in metal, especially when it comes to thrash, being a little bit on the heavier side of thrash. But there is still some really crazy stuff that they do on this record. There's one point where they've got like a vocoder out. It sounds like they're not a vocoder, but it sounds like they're talking through a Mr. Spell.
yeah, yeah, one of
Yeah,
those.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to go to the movies tonight. It's like very eclectic, very strange. And this is one of my favorite Tourniquet songs. It ends this album, The Skeezix Dilemma. Um,
That's
which is
quite a long. Yeah, that's a
so
10-minute one. Isn't it?
bizarre.
Yeah.
It's like, but like the first 2 minutes of it is just clown music, like circus music. It's so bizarre. And you get into the lyrics, and the lyrics are like on the surface, like it's a song about child abuse. Um, but it's done through the lens of a child playing the board game Uncle Wiggly, right? It's like there isn't any other band out there that's gonna pull that off except Tourniquet, right? Like you listen to it and you're like, yeah, I totally get where they're coming from here, and I'm totally on board, and I understand the symbolism. Um, they had to work their way up to that,
Hmm.
and I think that they did it really really beautifully here. And it's a perfect way to end off this record. Um, just in a very very epic fashion. Well, again, a lot of good play between Gary and Guy's vocals, and we didn't know it at the time, but this was going to be the last time that we got to hear this Tourniquet.
Yes. So this kind of cuts off, solidifies like an era for Tourniquet, and there is like we say, the first three albums. You get a live album, Tourniquet recorded live. You got a bunch of bands putting out live albums with a similar cover to this.
Yep.
Deliverance have got one. Die Happy, I think, got one.
I Happy
Uh,
got one. Deliverance, Tourniquet. See all those people in my comment section. I know who Deliverance is, obviously. Anyway,
yeah, but you'll have to help me out. Les from
uh,
Blood,
yeah, the
Blood
singer
Good.
Bloodgood sang on these songs, which makes that a really unique
Yeah,
experience. Because like a lot of the times with a live album, I could take it or leave it, right? But with this one, it's unique because you get to hear a singer that you don't
Les
associate with
Carlson, and
Tourniquet.
he
Yeah,
sounds. It doesn't sound because
he
Blood
sounds
Good are a very,
different, but not bad.
yeah, he's a Blood Good are a very different band to Tourniquet. It wouldn't. It's kind of I don't know. It's like getting Joey Belladonna to sing in Slayer.
Right.
It's but then again, Guy could get, but even still, he's still a very different singer to Les.
Yeah.
Uh, how are you
Yeah,
with
Guy was
Bloodgood, by
not
the way?
replaceable.
What do you think of them? Just off the
Bloodgood. So full disclosure, I'm not as into stuff like Bloodgood. It's a little I'm kind of the generation I kind of go thrash forward.
Yeah,
Um
they're
so like yeah, like I don't get me
a
wrong,
little
I
sickly
enjoy
sweet.
classic.
Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely can appreciate bands like Bloodgood, but yeah, the it's typically not something for me. I like some of their songs, but yeah, for the most part, I don't collect or anything for them. But you know, it was a point hearing him sing on this live recording, which I do wonder if these were live. It says that they're live, but I'm not sure. It sounds too good to be live. It
Do
sounds like
you think it's like a
it sounds like they
live in a studio kind of thing?
yeah, it's like it sounds like they're recorded live, but it's not like yeah, like a live concert. Um but yeah, no, I thought this was good. I have this on cassette actually, the live one, and I don't think yeah, I don't think I ever had a disc of it. So I've unfortunately I've had to sell off pieces of my collection before in the past, and then had to buy them back. And but yeah, typically I would tell people like, yeah, live album I could take it or leave it, but this one I think is unique just because you get a different vocal perspective. But I like Guy Ritter. I like Guy Ritter a lot, and he definitely is such a unique singer that it'd be really hard to sort of fill the void that he left in the band.
Yeah. Yeah, so moving on then, we get into a new era of the band, and then 1994 the band released Vanishing Lessons. They're a four-piece now, so you've got Gary Lanier still on guitar,
Mm-hmm.
Victor's back on bass, and then obviously Ted back on drums. And then we get a
Right.
new singer, Luke Easter, and
That's right.
this is a very different direction for the band. It's kind of, I guess, if we start comparing Luke and Guy as vocalists, I mentioned earlier, it's quite similar to the difference in Anthrax with Joey Belladonna and John Bush.
Yeah.
Luke Easter's got much more of like a more rugged voice. He's got the range, but he's got kind of like a rough, yeah, he's got that he's kind of comes across a bit like a grunge singer.
He's a rock
And,
singer.
yeah,
He's a rock singer, but also can do metal. Yeah.
but these two albums are suited to that vocal style because these albums there's still a bit of thrash and still a bit of but these are a lot more straightforward, and there's a bit more of a jammy sort of 90s. I don't want to say grunge, but more like if I was going to say grunge, it's more in the Pearl Jam, maybe Mother Love Bone kind of era rather than like something like some kind of sloppy like Mudhoney or
Yeah.
Varna or whoever. It's I say this feels like very 90s metal tinged rock, shall we say?
Sure. Yeah. This one I always call Vanishing Lessons Tourniquet's Black Album, right? Because
Yeah,
it's kind of a similar direction to they
not sure
have
about the album cover either. But
the album cover's weird.
yeah,
I
like when
like
you
it. Like,
look at
it's
the
so
first
weird. Like
three, and then you got it kind of just yeah,
yeah, you don't know what to expect just by looking at it. But I think that like I don't know. This album's really tough for me because, like I said, I'm kind of a meathead, right? And I'm not as big of a rock. When I became a metal fan, it sort of replaced my appreciation for traditional rock music
yeah.
in a
It takes a
way.
while to revert back when you go to that when you're forever just looking for the heaviest thing you can find. Nothing.
Absolutely. This record, now I do think, while I call it their Black Album, I don't think it is as good as the Black Album, which is an impossible comparison to make. But
Like
like
how 90s is that? They're
it's
sitting in a
yeah.
calf. I mean, Anthrax did it with John Bush.
At
There's
least
a
they
John.
still have their
Yeah,
hair,
yeah.
right?
That every
Um.
around this time, everyone just had a picture of them sitting in a coffee shop.
Oh yeah. Um. This record's paced strangely. Like I really like the first song, "Bearing Gruesome Cargo." I like the lyrics. I like Pecking Order. But like the song "Vanishing Lessons"
Hmm.
is incredible compared to the songs that come before it. So like if I was sequencing this record, I would have opened it with either Vanishing Lessons or Acid Head.
Acid Head's a
Because
good
those are
album
the
song,
most
yeah.
yeah, those are the most metal, I think.
And Acid Head, they would
Um
open their live set with as well as a live
yeah,
album. Yeah,
yeah, like these songs are really like I feel like if we're gonna go with the Black Album comparisons, I feel like Acid Head or Vanishing Lessons is closer to like an Enter Sandman sort of thing, where it gets the audience or gets the listener pumped for what they're about to hear. But I think this record is, with it being a transitionary record for the band, I think sometimes it has a little bit of trouble finding its identity. It's not a hundred
Yeah,
percent sure what it wants to be.
yeah. You listen to the album on its own terms. It's a very enjoyable album, but I can imagine if I was a Tourniquet like mega fan, and then right, we've got a new album coming out, we've got a new singer, and you're listening, you've got psychosurgery and POD in your head, not POD
Yeah,
the band.
yeah,
I could, and then all of a sudden you get home. You're first off, you're going to see that. You're going to like, what? Okay, yeah,
uh,
and then I am. This is the way that I am. This is what is the
yeah,
lyric?
yeah, yeah. This is why I am the way that I
This
am.
is why
Yeah,
I am the way that I am. And you're like, I can imagine at the time being like, what? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
Where I'm
strange.
coming in at the end. I'm I've got a bit more of a clearer thing, but I can imagine at the time being kind of pissed off.
It's also like, it's also the audience. It's also the fans' first recorded experience with Luke Easter. And that's why I even would suggest you put a song like Acid Head or
Yeah,
Vanishing Lessons first, because I feel like that's a better introduction
you're
for
in
the
more
listener
familiar territory. Yeah,
to Luke Easter. There's a really wonderful video on YouTube of I think it's Cornerstone 94. It's either 93 or 94, I can't remember. But it was one of the first concerts with Luke Easter, and he comes out and he sings like all the like a bunch of the pathogenic songs and
yeah,
psycho songs, and he sounds incredible. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Just incredible. And I could imagine being a fan in that audience and being like, yeah, I know that, Tourniquet has a new singer now. I wonder what he sounds like. And you see that concert and you're like, oh,
It's gonna be
okay.
awesome. Yeah, we're gonna be
Yeah, it's
fine.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like it's different, but it's still really good. And Luke Easter was the first Tourniquet vocalist I ever heard. So, in saying all of that, I do actually have a little bit more of a preference, or I lean more towards Luke, as the voice of the band.
well, I was gonna, yeah, Luke does grow into the role as the
Oh yeah,
subsequent albums go on. Definitely, yeah,
yeah. So like I like Luke's voice. I like his high singing, his higher register singing, because he has almost that like shout scream, but it's still melodic. It's still good. He can still carry a tune while still putting a lot of effort into that higher range, but it doesn't come off like guys where it tips into falsetto, or
yeah,
it never goes so above and beyond that it like could be off-putting. I think he sounds really good. I like a lot of his vocals on this album. And he, like, I mean, even the more ballady songs like My Promise, he delivers beautifully on that song.
mm,
That's where you really get to hear, how much range he has as a vocalist. Like, he really is a powerhouse on this album. And if I feel like if this was the first Tourniquet album, I think people would feel differently.
yeah,
You know what I mean, about the band and their trajectory and all of that. And I think that Luke would be celebrated, I think, more than he is sometimes by the older fans. Because again, yeah, you're going. This album is going right up against these like certified classics. That's an impossible contest to win. And
yeah,
I think it's admirable that they did go in their own direction instead of trying to do Pathogenic 2 with a different singer, or try to do like a half-handed attempt at recreating the same sound.
yeah. And in the '90s as well, a lot of thrash bands did adopt a more well. I think everyone was kind of riding on Metallica's coattails to one extent to another,
Yeah,
and
yeah. You either became a death metal band or you became a alternative rock band.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Those were your choices
Or
as a
you split
thrash band
up,
in the
yeah.
'90s. Yeah,
Yeah, you either went
exactly.
underground like Testament and just embraced death metal. I mean,
Yeah.
Overkill kind of did the whole groove thing,
Hmm.
and yeah, and then other one, some just went full on. Seattle. But and
Yeah.
speaking of that, then let's move on to the next album because that's pretty much
Oh
where we're
boy.
going. This is the controversial 1997, and we get 15 tracks, an hour and 10 minutes long.
What a deal.
It's like crawling to China, and
Yeah.
yeah. Now, I mean, this one you just get a picture of Ted on the front cover. Like this is full
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
solo album. Um, yeah, I think it's not too controversial to say that this is the least popular. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, so it's one of those things where I'm not a shock jock anymore, so I'm not gonna like go like too hard in it. But it's one of those like if you don't have anything nice to say, it's not. Here's the thing: there's a lot of songs on Crawl to China that I like. So to just get the
there's good
cat out of the
stuff on
bag,
there, yeah, and
yeah,
it is a logical follow up
it
to
is
Vanishing
to
Essence.
Vanishing Lessons, and the thing is that like instead of being like, oh no, people didn't like the rock sound that we introduced on Vanishing Lessons. This is they just doubled down on that, with this one. But what they did amp up is the weirdness. Because Vanishing Lessons is the most normal sounding Tourniquet album. Like it's still a little bit weird in places. There's still weird sound clips and stuff in some of the songs, and the lyrics are still kind of weird. But by and large, uh, Vanishing Lessons is like very beginner friendly for
Mm.
Tourniquet. It's where they sound the most like a traditional rock or metal band. Um, but then you have Crawl to China where they're playing rock, simpler rock, not a whole lot of metal. There's a few metal songs on here, but generally they stick to more of a rock theme. But they also like throw a lot of very weird stuff in there as well. So like the first song on here, Claustro Spelunker, is it's got this like weird like sort of almost swing sort of sound to it. It's if your head is on the ground, it's soft, it's weird, it's like, and it kicks into the chorus, it gets heavier, like more of a
Yeah,
shorter guitar, but like it is just a strange song. The song Crawl to China is really weird. It's like very discordant and
it's almost
somewhat
kind of
off-putting.
rapping to that. If you're gonna
Yeah,
like when you had like the New York hardcore, you would have like bands like Biohazard, but you had like sort of more softer bands like Dog Eat Dog and bands like that.
yeah,
It was it kind
yeah.
of goes like that, doesn't it? It's very rapping, but in a kind of you know.
Well, and Gary is gone on this record, and he's replaced by Aaron Gura.
Oh, I didn't talk about the lineup. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
Thank-
We're just
Um.
batting the ball back and forth.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got obviously like so Luke's back on. This is his second album. Ted is obviously always here, but yeah, we get a new guitarist, Aaron Gura, and he stays in the band for a while. Actually, I think he leaves and comes back.
He does,
Um.
yes. We'll get to that. Yeah. So with this record, yeah, Aaron, he sort of fits into the Gary role, right? He
Mm.
provides your more traditional thrash metal vocals, in addition to Luke's singing. Although it's a little, I always thought it was a little bit weird because I feel like Luke's voice is gruff enough to kind of bridge the gap, between the
Yeah.
two. But I mean, it makes sense, right? If Aaron's in the band and Luke's in the band, and they're gonna go back and play Arc of Suffering or something, you have to have that, you know, that dynamic. So a little bit of that is carried over into this record, but it's an interesting record for a new guitarist because I feel like it follows up what they did on Vanishing Lessons so well. But I do sort of notice the absence of two, and I noticed, this on Vanishing as well. This is sort of the absence of two distinct different guitarists. The riffs were a little bit more straightforward, you know, and I think they've kind of dropped down to being a three piece here. and you can kind of, I feel like you can kind of feel that the record doesn't sound as big, doesn't sound quite as dynamic, even though they try to make up for that by introducing all these different elements, these strange instruments, and just kind of like almost joke songs in places. Like I
Yeah,
uploaded a video to my Discord earlier of me just listening to the song Bats and just kind of rolling my eyes while it's playing.
yeah.
um
There's always been that quirkiness, isn't there? There's always been like a sort of a tongue-in-cheek element. Like,
yeah, and it's like really over the top here.
yeah.
And but some songs that I do like, I liked White Knuckle in the Rosary.
Mm.
It's like a more traditional rock song. I feel like if there's a single on this record, that's the one that it would
Yeah,
be.
that's the one I remember the most.
Um,
Then there's that acoustic song. What is it? I've been thinking about Calvary.
oh yeah, If I Was There, is that it?
If
Yeah, I think it was If I Was There. Shows how
yes,
much I listened to this album. I
yeah.
listened to it once today just to refresh myself. But yeah, yeah, If I Was There, I would like to Imaginary Friend. That was kind of they kind of a cool vocal effect on that song. I was like, he's got a hidden environment deep in his mind,
Yeah.
reality suspended. That was cool. That was very Tourniquet. I really liked The Telltale Heart was one of my favorites. And it's funny because it's like kind of a down tuned, almost new metal, almost corn sound to that song, which was different for Tourniquet, but very appropriate for the time, the time
Yeah.
period. I got to interview Luke Easter a couple of years ago on my old podcast, and he told me basically that they wrote that song, after seeing Corn play. They're
Oh,
like, yeah, it'd be, it was just like it'd be really cool to have like a really deep, like down tuned type of song like that.
yeah.
And of course, it's weird. It's based off of the story, The Telltale Heart, and so like there's this whole storyline that's kind of going on as the song's going on, and um, so yeah, the record is it's not total trash like I probably have called it in the past or anything. I don't think it's bad either. It's just one of those records that like if it was called something else or it
If it was a
had
different
it,
project, if they'd put
was a
Tourniquet to
different
bed
project,
and this was a different,
yes,
yeah,
but again we're holding it up against certified classics, and
yeah.
I respect the band wanting to reinvent themselves, but this didn't really hit much for me
Well, it
personally.
kind of goes the other way as well, isn't it? Like if you was picking that up in a record shop and you never heard the band before, and the
Yeah,
whole aesthetic of the album and the way the album sounds, and you go, "Oh wow, these are like." So say you start with this album and you like what you hear, and
right,
then you work your way back, and then you went, "Well, let's check out some of their earlier stuff," and then you check out Psychosurgery or something like that. You're gonna go, "What?" If
yeah,
anything, it's gonna, it's gonna. I don't know if you're listening to the Spin Doctors or REM or something like that, and then you just pick this up and you're like, "Oh, this is pretty cool," and then you go listen to the
totally.
older albums, you'll be blown away. But fear not, folks, because the Thrash comes back, and in 2000 with pretty much the same lineup, funnily enough, which is really weird. We get microscopic view of a telescopic realm,
That's
and
right.
your one's brighter than mine. Your
Oh yeah,
uh,
mine's a little bit newer. I bought this new recently because my old copy was getting pretty worn out. um but yeah, this was the first Tourniquet album that I ever bought, and
I think this would be a good place to start. Actually, yeah, I would.
yeah.
If I said to someone, or if someone said to me like, "Where'd you go to tour?" I go, first three albums, and then skip these two. Get them, but get them last.
Yeah, get them
Yeah.
eventually for the collection.
But then don't jump ahead to this one. I like this
Yeah,
album. Um, it's crazy that this is the same lineup as Quarter China, funnily enough. But yeah, we're back to um, psychosurgery and pathogenic ocular dissidence. Right. We're back to this really. We're not fully the same, but it's in that same vein. We've got big bombastic song styles, the technicalities there again, the adventurous songwriting, and if I must memory serves me right, do we not get part two of a song that's on?
Yes, we had the Skizix Dilemma Part 2,
Yes,
and
the
it's called
closing
The
track. Yeah,
Improbable Testimony of the Pipsissewa, uh, which is just even more Uncle Wiggily lore if you read those Uncle Wiggily books. Yeah, this record is there are a lot, and a lot of people describe it that way. It's a return to form. It's a return to the thrash sound. To my ears, it sounds like exactly what it is. It sounds like the band that released Crawl to China decided to make a thrash metal album, right? Uh, and so, whereas you get that sort of trademark tourniquet weirdness that you got on the first few albums, I think the way the production quality on this record, it doesn't hit exactly the same way as their classic records. I think they definitely went for a more modern sound with this one, a modern sound for 2000, right?
yeah,
Um, 20, God, was that 25 years ago? I could feel my hair getting grayer as I speak.
yeah,
But
yeah. You and me
but
both.
yeah,
Yeah, that number's coming up a lot lately. 25. It's like really.
oh,
Yeah,
I know. But yeah, this record is strange. It's just, I feel like it's just as strange as Crawl to China, but because the riffs are heavier, and the drumming's more
it's
intricate, and
just in
it's
a
much
different
more.
kind of way. Yeah,
Yeah, I used to always joke that like Ted just wanted to start working out again, while drumming, because this is. I mean, it's not that the drumming wasn't complex and over the top even on Crawl, but like this record is the first like thrash tourniquet record with Luke Easter on vocals. Um, I always think of like what the impact would have been had this come out, right after Vanishing Lessons or instead of
yeah.
Vanishing Lessons. Um, if in some alternate reality this
Just
would have been a
carried on
better,
the trajectory of pathogenic. Yeah, I
yeah.
was going to call it
One
pathogenic now, but
Yeah, some of my favorite songs on this record is the title track, Microscopic View of a Telescopic Realm, Drinking from the Poisoned Well, obviously. The Tomb of Gilgamesh is really, really good. Um, Indulgence by Proxy is cool. It's got, because there's a little bit of like sort of down tuned, almost like new metal type riffing on this one as well. Because again, they don't have the signature thrash metal guitar tone. It's still kind of the beefier modern rock tone,
hmm.
but they're playing thrash metal with it, which it really depends on what day it is for me. Sometimes I like that, and other days I'm like, I'd prefer the early '90s, late '80s thrash sound,
Hmm.
But that's kind of just a minor, a little nitpick.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit of a metal elitist deep down inside. I've gotten much nicer over the years.
aren't we all? Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. The we need more gatekeepers. That's why things have gone the way they have.
That's right.
Um, so yeah, this kind of marks a new era for me, and a pretty much a bit of a winning streak. I'm just going to quickly go through the catalog just to. Yeah, I think we've got a good three album run now.
Yeah.
Um, so next up we've got Where Moth and Rust Destroy in 2003.
Yep.
And this is what we're a two-piece now. Um,
Yeah.
so this is just Luke and Ted. So Luke's doing the vocals and Ted's doing everything else.
Well,
Guitar,
not everything. So there we got some guests on this
yeah, yeah,
album.
yeah. I'm getting there.
Okay,
Um,
sorry.
so we got some lead guitar though from a guitarist you might have heard of called Marty Friedman. He was in what band was he
Oh,
in?
is he any good? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Who's
yeah.
that?
And Bruce Franklin from Trouble, a
Yeah.
fantastic band.
But
Uh,
Ted was in trouble for a minute.
was he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It just I should have mentioned it earlier. It just for whatever reason did
Well,
not
it's only
occur to
just
me.
come up. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he was in trouble. Ted was in trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So that's probably where that connection comes from. This
Right.
record though,
Hmm.
Aaron is gone for this one.
Yeah.
But it's like not. not fired, just a leave of absence, I believe, is it was more of what it was. He just couldn't do it, couldn't or Aaron couldn't do it on this one. Did I say Luke earlier? I meant Aaron. If I
Yeah,
did,
no, I don't think he did, but it doesn't
okay.
matter. Yeah,
But yeah, this record is cool. It's probably my favorite of the newer era.
it feels like they found the balance now. It was a little. It's been a bit, Luke, God bless him. It's been a rocky road so far because it's kind of he's come in at a strange time for the band. We've gone from one extreme to the other, and it feels like on this one, with this is the they've hit the ground running on this album. It feels like they've
Yeah,
found the balance.
yeah. There are some incredible songs on here. A Ghost at the Wheel, I love. Architeuthis is awesome. Restoring the Locust Years. I mean, it's like what's interesting too is you start realizing on this album how much Ted writes because of how amazingly consistent this is with especially with Microscopic View. It feels like a continuation of that record, whereas you're like, oh, but if you have different guitarists on, you've got different guests, you'd think that it would sound much different, but it really kind of doesn't.
No,
And you start realizing that it's all okay. Yeah, Ted's actually he contributes a lot more, obviously, than just the drums. In the lyrics, Ted wrote all the lyrics for Tourniquet as well. This is where you start really realizing once members have dropped off, that you're still getting a mostly consistent experience. You start seeing like a little bit behind the curtain of like, oh, okay, um, this is who the driving force is, of this band.
yeah,
At least
definitely.
at least during this period. I don't know about the first. I don't know how collaborative it was in the first three albums.
Yeah, yeah, but he's obviously he was a force to be reckoned with. I mean, he was a phenomenal drummer, but on these latest albums, it's obviously clear he's a multi-instrumentalist as well, and he was doing other projects as well. He was doing solo albums, and he was doing like what's the word, like drum tutorial
Yeah, like
DVDs. He
drum
was,
teaching tapes and
and
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, he was a dynamic guy, definitely. Um, yeah. So, are we done with Where Moth and Rust Destroy?
Yeah, unless you
Right.
got something
So,
else for you. Yeah.
no, not really. To me, this is a pretty consistent album, and with like again, I think this is all the elements of the band seem to come together quite nicely on this album.
Yeah.
If anything, I would even argue if for whatever reason you can't get where I was saying earlier with the band's um, start with the first three albums, you couldn't go wrong starting with this one because you do get more of a balanced view of the catalog as a whole.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I would agree. I mean, I think that this record is I actually think this record is better than Microscopic View.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. I think it's more new person friendly. But I also think that they're sort of transitioning into more of like a progressive metal
Mm.
direction here than they probably had been for a while. I think it was important on Microscopic View to be like, no, look, we're a metal band again, right?
Yeah.
But this record,
Bit of
they
damage
start,
control.
yeah,
Yeah.
they start going for like sort of longer songs and trying to get those like proggy elements in there. I think that at this particular point they fancied themselves more of a progressive metal band.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. Right, well, let's move on then to 2012. Right, so Aaron, although it doesn't look like he actually left the band, but he wasn't present on the last album, but he is back.
Yep.
We're still back as a three piece though, so Ted Kirkpatrick, drums, Luke East on vocals, and Aaron Gira on guitar and bass. And yeah, Antiseptic Bloodbath is the album. I've not got a physical copy of this, have you?
Huh? Oh yeah, yeah, this thing is great.
Right.
Um
Did you just hold that up a minute ago? I was just reading when.
yeah,
Oh, sorry.
yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
okay.
I have to take a mortgage basically to find a copy of that.
Really?
Yeah, I can't find a copy of that anywhere. Well, I can, but not for what I'm willing to. Way out of my price range, and that's before postage.
I think I
Um,
got this one about when it came out because this is the last Tourniquet album I bought as a
yeah,
new
so that's
release.
probably yeah, good timing. But yeah, bunch of we've got Marty Friedman again doing a lead on a track. We've got Carl Sanders from
Nile, yeah.
Nile. We've got Bruce Franklin again. Um, Marty Friedman, I said that. Neil Kernan doing orchestration. Santiago Dobles. Not sure who he is. Let's have a look who that is. Santiago. If the page feels like loading, I'll come back to that. But yeah, I mean, this is a great album, and it annoys me that I've not got a copy of it. But it's Tourniquet. At this point, we've been sort of going from album to album, going, oh, well, this is this way, and then they're going really technical, and then they're going kind of grunt. It
Yeah.
feels from when Moth and Rust Destroy, it's your Tourniquet a tourniquet, and you kind of know what you're getting now. It's not that they're
Yeah.
not evolving or not developing, but they're fully fledged, and you're gonna get what's all the stuff that they have explored and all
Hmm.
the sort of directions they've gone in. What's worked, they've kept, and that's in the mix, and what hasn't worked has been dropped. But we're
Yeah.
going, but we are going in more of a progressive direction. Santiago Dobles is from Agora. I've not heard of them.
Okay.
Um, oh, he was in Cynic.
Okay.
Pestilence has done a couple of albums with, or he was one of the, excuse me, later Pestilence albums. Order of Enad, I think that's the drummer of Deicide's solo side project. So he's been in a lot of widdly widdly bands, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So it's perfect here. Yeah. Um, this record, this one I think swings a little bit back to the microscopic sound a little bit, just a little bit, just a hair. I like this one overall a lot. I don't know if I like it as much as Moth and Rust, but there are certain songs on here that I really love. I like the maiden in the I'm sorry, the maiden who slept in the glass coffin. I really like that one. It's got a really cool intro. Uh, Flowering Cadaver's cool. It's kind of a heavier, almost like a throwback to like really old school Tourniquet sound. And then the final track is one of my favorite Tourniquet songs ever, which is Fed by Ravens, Eaten by Vultures.
that's a
And at the
that's a
yeah,
death metal band, if ever there
oh
was
yeah,
one.
oh yeah, for sure. It's so good. It's a heavier Tourniquet song too. The ending is very heavy for this band. And Pastor Bob Beeman, he does he does the spoken word part at the end of the song. Which I don't know if you know Bob Beeman or not.
I try, I've tried so hard to get that guy on the show, but
Oh
he
yeah,
is,
he's elusive.
yeah, you've got more chance of getting hold of Ozzy Osbourne, but well,
Gotcha.
even now, sorry, I forgot. Sorry, Ozzy. God
Hmm.
bless you, but
Yeah,
it'd be like trying to get Lars Ulrich, shall we say? It's
gotcha.
it's
Okay.
yeah, he just I don't know. I think he's got his own podcast as well now. He does his own. Funny
Yeah,
enough,
it's like
Luke Easter was on there.
Coffee with
Uh,
Pastor Bob or something. I think is what
yeah,
it's called. Yeah, I've watched a couple of them. But yeah, he yeah, I remember some of the earliest Christian metal albums I had. He was like in the cover, in the liner notes
yeah,
being
he
like,
was. You
"Hey,
when you took the cassette, like, oh, yeah, took the line and
yeah, like
there'll
the
be a
Vengeance
picture of him.
albums had that. Yeah, the
Yeah,
Mortification, the first
he must
Mortification
have run
album
the
had that.
label or something, but he was pretty instrumental in a lot um of that scene. I think he played keyboard on the first or second Deliverance album. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
uh,
I believe it's his hand on the cover of Human
Human
Sacrifice.
Sacrifice. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, so it was cool. It was cool having like that this record, Antiseptic Bloodbath. I really really liked. And that's I kind of for some reason or another, this is kind of where I fell off with Tourniquet. Not because they did anything wrong or that I was like disappointed as a fan, but I think I just kind of started getting this is whenever my death metal phase really kicked
I
in,
mean,
and
I
I'm
think
still living in my death metal phase.
I don't think it's too controversial a statement to say this is the last like true Tourniquet album.
I
Um,
was, yeah, because I mean, this is, I'll be honest with you, this is the last one that has Luke on it. He does
yeah,
one song, I think, on the next album, and I'm a pretty big Luke Easter fan, and like I understand that Ted wrote the majority of the music and the lyrics and was the driving force and all of that stuff, and that, you know, to a certain extent, as long as Ted was involved, it was Tourniquet. But as a fan, you don't necessarily know that, and so after years and years, it's some of my years being formative, listening to this band and just kind of, you know, I just when I hear a Tourniquet album, I expect to hear Luke Easter, you know, on
yeah.
it. And he always got, like, I always felt like every album he was on was better than the one before it, you know.
Mm.
Um,
As I said earlier, he grew into the rather
yeah, yeah, because he went from being like, oh, okay, and then or you know, because he was good even in his first appearance, but it was weird material, right? And by the time you get to the end of Antiseptic Bloodbath, you genuinely are like, I love this guy. You know what I mean?
mm,
So when I found out that, like, originally, because I was on all like old message boards and stuff around this time period, and originally I remember Ted had announced a project called the Tourniquet Arc, which was like, it was supposed to be like a side project or something that like Ted was doing as a project on his own, separate from Tourniquet, but it was called the Tourniquet Arc. And they were supposed to release an album called Onward to Freedom.
yeah.
And then I guess somewhere in between there, you know, it was just like, why isn't this just a Tourniquet album?
Well, he did a
Um,
solo album as well. He did a couple of different
yeah,
projects, and
those I have not heard yet.
well, he done an album called Ode to Roadkill, and it was a well, the main theme was animal rights,
Sure.
and it was just as flashy and bonkers as any given Tourniquet album, but the vocals were all animal noises.
Oh, really? I never heard that.
Like
Okay.
literally the whole album. Um, and it's kind of like they've put a load of animal sounds or animal, and apparently they are all genuinely animal noises, like from
Uh-huh.
slaughterhouses, and it's like they kind of keyed it up to a synthesizer and played the vocal melody. Like,
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, interesting. There's a
Yeah, I don't think I'm
yeah,
gonna take. I don't think I'm gonna
and
check that out. Yeah.
you'll listen to it and you'll go interesting.
Yeah, I'll take
Then
your
you
word
and then
for
you're
it.
never going to listen to it again.
Yeah. I'll just
And then yeah, and then this Onward to Freedom is kind of like a follow up to that. It was like, right, let's do it properly.
right.
So this again, the theme is animal rights, and but we get a different singer pretty much, or a whole host of different musicians. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like a who's who. But
Should
yeah,
have been
like,
called Tourniquet and Friends. I feel like it.
well, yeah, apparently it was meant to. Well, it's actually Ted Kirkpatrick's tourniquet or
Yeah.
Ted Kirkpatrick tourniquet, but
Oh, is that what it's called? Okay.
yeah,
It's hard to keep track because if you pull it up on Spotify or whatever, it's just gonna say Tourniquet.
yeah, but I think it's just because it's under that banner.
Yeah.
But on the album cover, it's Ted Kirkpatrick, but tourniquet. But so yeah, Luke pops up for one song, but then the opening track you've got Michael Sweet from
Yep.
Striper, and then Matt Montgomery from For Today doing a load of screaming vocals. Like,
Yeah, that
we've
was
yeah.
very different.
Then you've
Yeah.
got Doug Pinnick from King's X, and I mean, I can listen to Doug
Yeah.
read the telephone book.
Doug's incredible. Yeah.
Um, so anything with him on is going to be great. This is good. Um, yeah, this is the thing. It's one of these albums. Like, yeah, it'd have been better if it was a solo album. But it's like, yeah, but solo albums, it's like Ted is Tourniquet and Tourniquet is Ted,
Right.
and it's like how many times has Trent Reznor tried to bury Nine Inch Nails, and whenever
Right.
he, no matter what he does, he's like, "Fuck it, I'm going on tour. Nine Inch
Yeah,
Nails.
yeah, pretty much.
He's done film scores or he's done this project and that project. You are Nine Inch Nails. Nine Inch Nails is you. If you're sitting at a keyboard or putting a guitar on, you're Nine Inch
Yeah,
Nails. Sorry, Trent. It is what it is. So
yeah,
I'm guessing if he'd released it under a different name, it probably wouldn't have. But it was under Tourniquet, it at least generated the interest, I guess.
right. Yeah, I mean, this is yeah, I mean, I really just full transparency. Whenever I saw the list and saw you realize I was like, I kind of felt the writing on the wall. I was like, this is not going to be for me.
Yeah.
Um, it sounds like the band is more or less fallen apart or imploded or something, like the band as we know it. The core group of guys, because like I think in metal there is a lot of lineup change. My favorite band is Zayo, who famously has no original members, right? Like, um,
That's not as
the guys
uncommon
that
as you
are in the
think. Look at Napalm
yeah,
Death or look at In Flames.
yeah, in
Yeah.
Flames, same thing. So we kind of get used to that, but I think it's easier to consider like eras. You've got the classic era of Tourniquet with the original Tourniquet lineup. But then however we feel about the material, we got used to Aaron and Luke and Ted as Tourniquet, and I think by that point it was kind of like, am I really wanting to take on a new era, of a band?
Yeah.
Especially like like I said, with Luke not being there. Um, so like when their next proper album came out, I think it was I think because yeah,
Gazing
well,
at Medusa.
Gazing at Medusa was the last official Tourniquet
Yeah.
album.
So that was
And they've
2000.
got Tim the Ripper Owens on vocals, which
Yeah.
sounds a lot cooler than it actually ends up being. I listened to this record two times for my old podcast, and we reviewed it. And while I did not hate it, it did not scratch the itch for me the way that the previous three albums had.
Yeah. I think it was a solid out. I mean, I just sort of binged Tourniquet in preparation for it. I'm a big Tim Owens fan, so I'm gonna like anything with him on, and I'm probably not as invested with Luke or Guy as you may have been because
Yeah,
I've come in at the end, So I've just
sure.
got boom, I've just got this whole collection. I've just kind of but for me it was a solid album, and anything with Tim Owens is a treat. But yeah, I would see where you're coming from. We've got Aaron back on guitar for this one.
Yeah,
Again, the album cover is very jarring. It doesn't look like a tourniquet.
yeah. It's
But
kind
I
of
don't know why we
cartoony.
talk about
Yeah,
Medusa all of a sudden. Got Chris Poland from Megadeth doing a bit of lead work,
it's cool.
and
Yeah.
Dean Castronovo does. Oh, um, yeah, Dean Castronovo. Currently the drummer and sort of backing vocalist for Journey.
Oh,
This
okay.
guy, he drummed for Ozzy Osbourne, the Dead Daisies, Social. He's been in a bunch of bands, but he does vocals and drums. So he's got a bit of a quite an eclectic musician. But even did a, he even drummed on a Fear Factory album. Can you imagine that the current drummer for Journey drummed on
Played
a
on a Fear
Fear
Factory.
Factory
Yeah,
album?
that's hey, you know
Yeah, so
what?
he done a bit of he did some vocals. Funny enough. Yeah, Chris Poland did a bit of lead work, and yeah, it's Aaron on guitar, bass, and all the rest of it. But yeah, But the thing is, Tim Owens as well. He is. I don't think he makes much of a secret of it. He is a vocalist for hire.
Yeah, yeah,
So I don't know how invested in Tourniquet he was. I think it just a case of I don't know if he gigged with the band or what, whether he was actually in them, or was it a case
yeah,
of yeah, send me the songs over and I'll record it and send it back sort of thing. I don't know if it was one of them sort of jobs.
yeah. I have no idea. That side of it is a total mystery to me because I reached a point where I felt like even with Tim Owens, it's like um I liked Tourniquet as the thrash metal sort of band. So having the Ripper on adds a classic heavy metal sort of factor to it that's just not necessarily my cup of tea. It's like
Yeah.
I know. Oh, this guy must hate metal. He's not da da da. But anybody that watches my videos and stuff, I definitely tend to lean more towards the more extreme side of things, and so that was part of the reason why. Like, I mean, I gave the record a couple of listens, and while I don't think that anything Tourniquet has released is like objectively bad, um, this one just did not scratch the itch for me,
Fair
which is
enough. Yeah.
unfortunate, right? Like, cause, and I feel bad. I was talking to my buddy Travis before this, um, and I was saying I was like, I don't want to be critical, because we haven't got to this point yet, but Ted tragically passed away. Between now and then the release of this album, and so it's one of those things. It's like I don't want to just like crap on the last thing that the band did. You know what I mean? Musically or anything. But like anything, it was just not every record's gonna always hit for everybody.
No, I can see what you mean as well. You're probably going, look, I like this guy, but he's not really fixing the situation. If you feel the band had run their course at that point, and
Yeah.
that's it, you know. But yeah, tragically, Ted Kirkpatrick died a couple of years ago. I just want to show off a couple of other knickknacks I've got of him
Sure.
because again, he had a couple of different. I got this Tourniquet compilation, which is
Oh, okay.
awesome album cover. If you see this artwork and zoom in on it, like or
Yeah.
um, the last couple of albums, obviously, I'm not been able to show off, but I'll put a link to the band's Bandcamp page. It looks like whoever owns the back catalogue now, but they do own because normally, especially Bandcamp, it'll be these albums are on this label and these albums on that label. But no, Tourniquet have got a Bandcamp page where the entire back catalogue, including Ted's numerous side projects, it is a one-stop shop. So I'd send people over there. He did a all-star tribute to Black Sabbath.
Oh, okay.
All sorts of musicians on this one. Doug Pinnock, Tim Owens, Eric Wagner from Trouble and the Skull, uh, Trevor McNevin,
Oh,
uh,
from Thousand
Corey,
Foot Crutch.
yeah, Corey Glover from Living Colour, and Chris Jericho.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
all-star Black Sabbath tribute band there. Yeah, sorry, this was a compilation of. It's called the Epic Tracks.
Yeah.
Pretty much does what it
Got
says on the tin.
all the longer.
Um,
Yeah.
and we got a Edgar Allan Poe. Um, I'm not sure what this is. So it's I think it's Edgar Allan Poe's story, sort of narrated by.
Huh. That is interesting.
This project is a journey through some of the greatest work spoken by seven great vocalists. So I'm
Huh.
guessing this is all like an atmospheric audio book of
Interesting.
various. So you've got seven Edgar Allan Poe stories narrated by Eric Wagner, Les Carlson, Luke Easter, Jamie Rowe, Rob Beckley, Warrell Danes on this, and Frank Marino. So yeah, that's pretty
Oh,
cool
wow.
project. He put out a Christmas album as well. Um, yeah, if you want to. So
So yeah.
there's that. And then a couple of years back, a new band came out, Flood.
Yeah.
So if you and they just basically did a 1-2 punch. They put two albums out a year apart. 2020.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, 2022. We got Polarized, and 2024 we got what is this one called? Ripped into Exile. And both of these albums are phenomenal, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Have you heard these?
I have, yeah.
Um,
I don't actually have them physically, but I have listened to both of them. And I was pretty intrigued by it because the selling point when they first came out was that it was going to be featuring members of Tourniquet. So hearing Gary and Guy together again, and releasing music that is not a copy. I don't think that it really is its own thing. You know
yeah,
what I mean? It's not necessarily trying to recreate the old Tourniquet sound, but
it's
it's a
not.
heavy and it's
It's in the DNA. So you've got basically the psychosurgery lineup of Tourniquet. So you've got Guy Ritter on vocals, Gary Lanier on guitar, and Eric Mendez on guitar. You've got David Husvik of Extol on
Yep.
drums,
Yep.
and on bass, Anna Centina. So yeah, again, they do a one-two punch, two great albums, and I would say,
Yeah.
you know, like Halford's Rob Halford's solo project, Halford, that first album, Resurrection, was the greatest album Judas Priest never recorded. It's kind of like that. It's like, well, if you are itching for those first three albums, you're right. It's not exactly the same. It's not trying to be, but
Right.
you could do a lot worse. Like it goes, you know, it's yeah, it's a new project, but it is what it is. You're in. It's like greeting an old friend, and then obviously when Ted passes on, Flood start doing some gigs and some festival appearances and whatnot. But then they started um, playing under the name Stop the Bleeding.
Stop the bleeding. Yeah,
So
and
it's basically
the
Flood.
tourniquet tribute. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, oh, it was Flood plays Tourniquet, and yeah, basically Tourniquet. So they basically started doing the Tourniquet set,
Yeah.
and now they have adopted the name. I mean, I'm guessing Ted left the name or left his estate to his wife or whoever the estate has been inherited by. They've okayed it. So Flood are now officially Tourniquet, and Luke Easter has now joined. So you've got Guy and Luke doing twin, kind
Yeah.
of like what Halloween are doing right now. Like everyone is,
It's sort of in, yeah,
yeah.
whoever shows up is the band for this evening. Yeah, like this is strange because like I have kind of wondered what was going on with that. I know they started playing as Stop the Bleeding, the Tourniquet tribute, and then there was a band camp, or not a band camp, there was a Facebook page launched as Tourniquet Band, but I don't think that exists anymore. The page, the Facebook page, I don't think it's there anymore.
Well, if you go on
Um,
Metal Archives, Tourniquet, and the picture is this current Flood lineup.
Interesting. No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just not
Yeah.
sure, what the actual story is to that because I know there was a lot of hype around like, yeah, we're going to announce this soon, and I think they're working on a new album as
Mm,
Tourniquet.
yeah.
From what I'm reading between it, because I followed Gary on Facebook for a while and would read his posts, and he definitely seems to be talking about recording and new stuff and so like all of that is super exciting. Like it's interesting because I don't know if we've ever seen this before with at least I haven't in my experience as a fan of any band. I have never seen, the driving force behind a band pass away and then have the old band members sort of pick up the torch and carry on, into a new direction. I think that's really unique. I haven't seen that before.
No, I've seen it with a key member of a band dying, and then him like say he's got cancer or something like that. I mean, I'm thinking of a local band to me as a band called Doctor Feelgood,
Yeah.
who famously again no original members, but the current lineup. So the singer was the original member,
Hmm.
and he had cancer. And he said to the current lineup that he had at the time, who he'd done a couple of albums with, like they were all in the band, you know.
Sure.
Gave their blessing, like, no, carry on after me.
Yeah.
Like when I'm gone, like there's no point in stopping, sort of thing. And
Yeah.
the current singer, I think, is just about to celebrate his 2000th gig with the band.
Oh wow.
And he's been in them 25 years. And when you look at it, he's been in the band now longer than the original singer's tenure in the
Yeah.
band. Like,
Yeah.
um, so when they say, "Oh, it's no original members," it's like, well, yeah, but the guitarist, bassist, and drummer did play with the original singer. So,
Right.
but he's overseen that. He's gone, well, if I'm going, you carry on. But this is all ex-members,
Right.
and Ted has died, and then they've all kind of all I can just imagine if they've adopted the name and the logo, whoever has inherited it has okayed it. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm sure it's all 100% above board on that. I think it's cool, and I'll be very interested to hear what a new
and the
album
fact that
sounds
you got
like. It
both the singers
Yeah.
So nothing's off the table set list wise.
Well, there I saw a
Um,
video of them playing. I
who
think it
knows as well?
was.
Maybe Ted. I mean, Ted was. Sorry to interrupt you, but Ted was obviously a busy guy. He
Yeah,
must have had stuff in the archives or stuff he was working on that they can sort of map out.
maybe.
Maybe an
Yeah.
unfinished album or something like that. Who knows?
Um, I
Time will tell.
definitely. I'm definitely looking forward to see what they end up cooking up. I know there was a video of them playing. I don't remember where it was, but there was a video of them playing, and they played like one of the Moth and Rust songs. They played the
Hmm.
song where Moth and Rust destroy, which I thought was interesting, um, because Gary wasn't on that album, and they had Luke singing it, but it was just cool to see that. Um, so yeah, nothing's off the table as far as what they're going to be able to do going forward.
And I think if they've, right, we've got this. We're honouring Ted. This is in tribute to Ted. We've got the whole catalogue now. We've got as many as ex members as we, logically can get. We'll. I mean, I guess it's what Death to All are doing with Chuck Schuldina's legacy. But I don't know if I'd be
Yeah,
comfortable with Death to All doing a. Well, I'd be okay with Death to All doing an album called Death to All,
right.
but doing it as Death would probably be a bit. It's a bit like what Thin Lizzy did. Thin Lizzy sort of reformed, reassembled
Yeah,
with a like sort of half original members, half new members. But when it came to they were doing really well touring. Like the people really did like the new lineup, and they went, "We're going to do a new album." But then at the very 11th hour, they went,
we shouldn't do this.
"It's
Yeah,
best we call this a new name." And probably, and so then that became Black Star Riders,
right.
and they had like a 4 or 5 album run. But
Yeah,
I think it was the best thing they could have done because straight away, no matter how good that album, that first, especially the first album, no matter how good it was never going to survive the scrutiny
sure.
and the
Yeah.
pressure. By
No, they
just
definitely
calling it
made the
something
right
else,
call
it
there.
took the pressure off. And then
I
you could just see it was the logical follow up.
Yeah.
So, but this time, Tourniquet are going full hog, going, no, we're keeping it. So,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
I think that in Tourniquet's case though, I don't know, just the sheer amount of I don't know. Like to me, like I don't know, Gary and Luke and Guy are in it. You know what I mean? Like to me it feels legitimate.
yeah.
Some other people might disagree with me.
You could argue
But
that this new Tourniquet album, say it was released tomorrow, would be more of a legit album than Gaze to Medusa, or certainly more legitimate than Onward to
that's how
Freedom.
I feel. But like I said, I don't. I typically I have found in doing YouTube videos that I often don't I often don't represent the fan bases at large.
Oh
On
yeah,
things like that.
we're just speculating anyway, aren't we? We're just
Yeah,
hashing it
yeah.
out.
Who knows
Really,
what's actually going to happen? Right.
time's going to tell, and I think you're not going to know until you put the album on. Then, then,
Yep.
then we're really going to know. And who knows when it does come out? Maybe we'll jump on board and we'll review it together. I'll be up for that.
We'll look at what we said and then find out what we were right about and what we were wrong about. Yep,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, same.
Right. Well, folks, we got to the end of it. I
We did it.
always, I always finish with a sum up, really. So yeah, I think what a buyer's guide to tourniquet. Yeah, I think. Well, it's kind of weird because it comes in sections, doesn't it? So you've got the first 3 albums, then you've got the kind of the rock period, then you've got another 3 albums of
Yep,
wacky progressive thrash. I'd say start with either start at the beginning with the
yep.
first three,
Right
or
here. Yep.
jump into the second half really, with
Second trilogy. Yeah.
those three, and then
And then if you're
fill the
feeling,
gaps in
yeah,
from
if you're
there.
feeling
Really,
squirrely, go here. Yep.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't show you this one. This was another kind of an oddity I have, which is the acoustic archives. Um,
Oh mate, there's EPs, there's live albums. We
yeah.
would have been here all night.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
Well, this
is
one
it
was
any good though?
interesting. It's okay. I don't necessarily think these songs translate great to acoustic, but it's a cool little thing because like mine's like hand numbered by Ted.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that on the camera or not, but yeah, yeah, this one's hand numbered by Ted, and so I think that's kind of cool. My copy of Moth and Rust also is signed by Ted, so it's neat having this stuff, especially in light of his passing. Just having that almost personalized bit of
Yeah, no,
memorabilia.
you're not going to get that again. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now I'm not cool. I didn't meet Ted and have him sign these. They're just the copies of the record that I got for whatever reason were already signed by him. So
Yeah. So yeah, you got those. You got two good trilogies there to start off with. But I'd also recommend picking up either of the Flood albums. I'm a big
oh
fan of
yeah.
them. And yeah, check out Tourniquet. God bless you, Ted Kirkpatrick. You were an amazing musician. And yeah, this is for you. So yeah, let me know in the comments. What was your favorite album? What did you agree with us on? What did you think was an underrated Tourniquet album? Did you ever see them live? Let us know. This isn't this as I said before, this isn't a music review channel anymore. This is a music discussion video, you know?
Yeah.
So, we're just flicking the first domino. So Daniel, thanks for joining me again, man. Your
Yeah.
channel is smashing it at the moment. I'm seething with jealousy. And
Don't do
yeah,
that.
this you've put out some great videos recently. So check out the Christian death metal, the guide to Christian metal, and then the number he does retrospective just like I do. So yeah, it's always a pleasure talking to you, man, and thanks for coming on. Is there
Yeah,
anything you want to
thanks.
plug before you go?
No, I think yeah, no, I mean I appreciate all the nice things on the channel, but yeah, this is all I got going on. I'll tell you this, I'm probably only going to do probably maybe two more videos this year, and then I think I'm going to take some time off to kind of regroup and then get back and hit it hard in 2020 or in 2026.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
So,
Well, check out in the description as well. I'll put the link to Tourniquet's Bandcamp page, and then you can listen and buy until your heart's content. And yeah, that is it for Nightmare Cabin for the time being. Thank you for watching, everyone. See you all soon.